Hey, I'm Harry from Umbra, and today I'm going to be showing you how to set up the new TaHoma Switch. So just before we start, I want to say that I'm actually going to be replacing my old original TaHoma box with the new TaHoma Switch. So this is an actual installation, not just a test. Whilst we're on it, the old TaHoma box was a really solid, reliable product. I ran it for over 2 years and honestly didn't really have any problems with it, to be fair. It never let me down. So I'm really hoping that the new TaHoma Switch is every bit as solid and good, and by all reports it is. It has some great new features, which is partly why I'm upgrading, but also I want to show you how simple it is with the Somfy Pro app to get this set up. When you're setting up a TaHoma from Umbra, we recommend that as one of our dealers, you use the Somfy Pro app. So the Somfy TaHoma Pro app can be found on the Play Store, and you log into it using your Somfy Pro account. If you don't have a Somfy Pro account, you'll need to set one up before you can use this. But I promise you, it's worth doing, especially if you're planning to install multiple TaHomas over the next few days, weeks, years, because this lets you actually collate all of those TaHomas in one place. So for example, you can go in here and you can search by customer detail for a TaHoma that you may have set up a few months ago. For example, I set one up a little while back for Umbra, and there it is under my colleague's name. So it's come straight up, and I could go into that and I could edit the details. But on this occasion, we're going to be registering a new TaHoma. So we click Register New TaHoma, and then it's as simple as powering up the TaHoma and scanning the QR code on the bottom of the TaHoma. It's going to realise it's a brand new TaHoma, it hasn't been set up before, so I'm going to go ahead and register it. So you can see it's already captured the PIN code. Now, if for any reason you needed to actually manually enter that PIN code, you'll find it on the bottom of your TaHoma, just underneath the QR code. So in here, I'm going to put in a couple of details. So I'm going to put in the customer information. So in this case, the customer is actually me. So let's go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to put in the site information. So again, obviously, as you can see, this is optional details that you don't necessarily have to add, but I would strongly recommend entering it because, like I say, if you're going to set up a load of these and you end up with a big list of TaHomas, you want to just really easily be able to find the one that you want to edit. You know, you get a call from a customer, can you make a change for me? Yes, of course I can, and you can just pull up the details straight away. This is my setup. Now let's just validate that. So that's just adding it to the box. So I can now start commissioning my new TaHoma. Let's go right ahead. So now we have a decision to make. In this instance, and the way that Somfy intended TaHoma to be used 99% of the time, was exactly like this, plugged into power, connected wirelessly to everything, including your internet. However, you can get a PoE adapter for this, and we do sell a PoE adapter for the Somfy TaHoma. And if you're going to be integrating the TaHoma using any of Umbra's integrations with Control4 or Crestron, for example, we would strongly recommend that you use the PoE adapter and therefore connect the TaHoma hardwired to power and data. But in this instance, this is going to be a standalone installation. I'm not integrating it with any third-party control. I'm going to use a wireless configuration. So let's go ahead and connect the TaHoma to the internet. So we're going to connect it to a Wi-Fi network. And obviously it's asking me to check that there's no Ethernet cable connected, which obviously there isn't. So what happens next is that your phone or tablet is now connecting via Bluetooth to your TaHoma. And it's obviously in the Bluetooth connection state when this blue light is flashing. Now, to be fair, if that's not flashing, the app will guide you through the steps to get it to a Bluetooth connection state. So I'm going to go right ahead and I'm going to connect it to the Wi-Fi here. So now we're going to connect it to the internet. Now here's a really interesting thing. You have to be careful. If you have a 5 GHz Wi-Fi network, it may not actually work with the TaHoma. So for the purpose, I've actually set up my own 2.4 GHz network that I can use for the TaHoma. So what's happening now is the TaHoma is updating itself. I know that I've had this TaHoma knocking around for a little while, so I know it probably is a little bit out of date compared to some of the newer ones that you might receive straight from Somfy. So we're just going to wait whilst it does its update. Now the important thing to notice here is that there's a white light on the front of the TaHoma. That means it's connected to the internet. So it's just a useful thing to look out for. If you've got a white flashing light on the top, not connected. If it's blue flashing on the top, that's to do with Bluetooth. White light on the front, connected to the internet successfully. So you can see here, the product's updating, update in progress. It's simply just downloading an update, and we'll be updating this unit and we'll go through a reboot process. So I'm going to show you how to add or remove a product within the TaHoma app. It's very well guided, but there's a couple of things just to watch out for. So let's jump in. Let's head into roller blinds, dining room blind. So I'm going to actually remove this blind. So let's hop into advanced, and I'm going to delete the product. So let's delete that. So it's going to say, where's your remote control? So here it is. I'm going to go next. Now it's going to ask me to put the blind in programming mode. So by pressing and holding the program button, I get a shunt from that. I click next. It's going to delete it. So it's just going to clean up. So test my equipment. It's going to test it. Now, in most cases, that actually means nothing because you won't see anything or any response from a blind as long as it's been successfully deleted. So it's just going to go through the process of testing the equipment and cleaning up the deletion. So we'll just wait for that to complete. Did the product flash? No. Fine, your equipment has been deleted. Okay, so what if we want to add something new? Let's go add an equipment. We can add windows and sun protection, shades and curtains, an interior roller blind. What control device? So I've got a Somfy Smooth. It wants me to scan a QR code. Now that's really only relevant if you have an I/O product, which is super easy, by the way. But in this instance, I'm going to say QR code is missing. Choose my technology, so it's RTS technology. And if you're unsure, it will say on the back of your remote control. Again, it wants me to put the blind into programming mode. So I press and hold until I get a shunt. There's my shunt. I click next. It's going to look for it. And the blind's going to shunt because the TaHoma has acknowledged it as being a blind. I'm then going to test it. So I'm going to send an open command. It's working. I'm going to send a close command. It's closing. Click next. It's going to say, were you able to control it? Yes, I was. It's done. So now all I need to do is name it. So I'm just going to rename it Dining Room Roller Blind. Done. So that is now done, and if I wanted to, I could associate it with a room, but well, let's do that actually. Let's put it in the dining room. That makes sense. So that is as simple as that, and I've gone through and I've added all the products that I have in the house to my app, and they're now ready to be assigned to rooms or assigned to scenes or timers. Okay, so you've set up all your devices within the Somfy TaHoma Pro app. That's great. That's your job kind of done as an installer. However, you must make sure that the customer is now set up using the real TaHoma app. So, in this instance, I'm also the customer, but if I wasn't, what we need to do is we need to get the customer to download the TaHoma app, make sure it's the new TaHoma app, not the old original TaHoma app. So, they'll open it up and they'll start to configure. So the first thing they'll do is choose where they live. So that's simple enough. Choose the kind of product they have. So it is obviously a TaHoma Switch in this instance. And then they need to finish the installation carried out by my professional. So they're not starting a new installation, they're finishing an installation. So it'll then walk them through a series of steps. So for example, is the LED flashing blue? No, it's not. Is it the top LED orange? No, it's not. It's going to try and detect the box, which it basically means it's looking on the network. Now actually, I already know that my phone is technically not on the same network as this is, because my phone is on the 5G network and this is on the 2.4G network. They are connected back to the same router, and it has actually now found it. So it must have found it because they are on the same router network. So it wants me to link an account. So this basically means create an account. Now don't fall into the trap of creating an account on Somfy's website. Create the account here. Now this is obviously for the customer to do, not for you to do as the installer. This is for the end user who owns the home, who's buying the blinds and is going to be using them on a daily basis. So here, within the app, they need to create themselves a Somfy account. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for myself. Enter who I am. Accept the terms and conditions. So yes, and you want to really run through this with them to make sure they're comfortable with it. And obviously, if they want to read through the terms and conditions, it's important that they do that. And then accept all of that. So I'm going to do that later. Congratulations, you finished. So I'm glad this has happened. From time to time, you do get error messages. It's the same with setting up any type of smart home device. Just sometimes stuff happens that means it doesn't work. So in this case, I'm just going to cancel out of it. Okay, that's a bit of a pain because that does appear that it actually has not saved my configuration, saying you're not connected to the internet. So you've just seen that I've had a bit of an issue with this phone and the TaHoma app on this phone. Maybe it's not up to date, or maybe there's something wrong with this phone, I'm not sure. So I'm just trying it on a different device. I'm going to go to the TaHoma app, I'm going to start that process again. Now I suspect what's happened is that I've basically got all the way through and then I hit an error. So I should think that this TaHoma is actually registered to my account. So I'm just going to follow it through and see what happens. And I suspect it'll tell me that this TaHoma is already registered to an account and it's going to let me log in. So it's just detecting it at the moment. Loading information. Yes, this box is already linked to an account. Great, so I'm going to log in. I'm going to log in with the details of the account that I just set up on that phone over there. And hopefully this will take me straight into the box. Yes, there we are. So just let me log in. There's the blinds, there's the curtains I've set up, and now I can start to do stuff as the homeowner, like going in and adding rooms and adding blinds to those rooms. So that's the process. There's one last thing that I should add, and that is that if you are planning to integrate the TaHoma using any of Umbra's integrations with Control4 or Crestron, for example, then you will want to make sure that your customer signs into their Somfy account. So that's somfy.co.uk. And they must sign in using the details that they've just set up within the TaHoma app. So it'd be a good idea to do this with them, because what you need them to do is you need them to enable a setting. So once they've signed in, you'll see that this TaHoma is already registered, so there it is. And you can obviously check, because it says the PIN code on there is the same as the PIN code on the bottom of the TaHoma. Now what you need to do is go in and view My TaHoma, and you need to activate developer mode. Now this is an interesting thing. It's not configured for a tablet, so I'm going to have to go in here and I'm going to have to view it as a desktop site. And then activate developer mode, confirm activation, developer mode is activated. So what that does is it opens up the API on the TaHoma and enables the possibility of an integration using some of Umbra's integration options with the likes of Control4 and Crestron. Really important that you get your customer to do that, as in the person who owns the house, the app, the blinds, and is going to be using them on a day-to-day basis because it's their account, and this is currently the only way that we can enable that integration is by the customer logging into their account at somfy.co.uk and enabling developer mode. Really important. But if you're not planning to integrate this with any third-party application, then you don't need to worry about that, and all you need to do is stay simply within the Somfy TaHoma application on their phone or tablet. So that's how you set it up. I hope that was useful. Thank you for watching.